Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to honeycomb smock on a sewing machine. So typically fabric manipulation is done through hand stitching, but sometimes you just don't got the time for that and you want to speed it up. So I found a way to do this on a sewing machine. So let's just jump right into it. First things first, you're going to want to create a grid on the fabric that you're going to manipulate. And I like to do this with a iron off pen. So this is basically a pen that dissolves the markings after heat is applied. And so when you iron the fabric or apply steam, the markings are going to be gone. So that way your fabric isn't left with any dots at the very end. But I like to create grids of 1 by 1. Obviously, if you want your smocking to be a lot tighter and smaller, do smaller. And if you want it to be bigger, then you would do it more far apart. But I'm just creating grids and rows of 1. It takes 3 rows to make 1 full honeycomb smocking. And so here's how the fabric should look like after you're done adding on your dots. So now we can get on to sewing. For the sewing portion, you just need a simple straight stitch, but you're going to make the stitch length a lot shorter. I like to typically do my stitch lengths at 0.44 millimeters all the way up to 1 millimeter depending on the fabric thickness and thinness. So you're going to take the first dot on the first row, fold it in half where the dot is, and take the second dot on the first row and line it up with the same dot. And this is where you're going to be stitching. And I'm going to have a lot of clips showing different angles of what I mean by this. So if my words aren't making sense, just kind of look at what I'm doing and hopefully that will explain it. But then you're going to stitch back and forth a couple times. Here I'm doing it a lot more. You really only need like 4 to 5 stitches, but I'm making it super bulky so that you can see it on camera. But you're literally just going to stitch at that one spot where the dots are and then cut off your thread. And that is your first manipulation. And so this is kind of what it should look like. And now you're going to take the second dot and the third dot and do the same thing. You're going to fold the fabric in half where the dot is and then line the 2 dots up just like so and then stitch it down. And this is essentially mimicking the hand stitching when you typically do fabric manipulation. So if you were to search up videos of hand sewing and how to do honeycomb smocking like that, you're basically doing the same thing, but you're doing it on a machine. So I'm just going to continue this process down the entire first row, stitching the 2 dots with each other, and you're not going to be skipping any stitches here. And I'm just going to have these parts plied instead of cutting them out so that you can kind of get a gist of what I'm doing. And hopefully these clips just explain it a lot more clearly than my words are. But this is how the first row should look like. And now moving on to the second row, you're going to skip the first dot that you drew, take the second dot and the third dot and line it up with each other. And already right away, you should see this diagonal line. And this is what's going to create that honeycomb looking effect. So after you do the second and the third dot, you're just going to continue down without skipping any other dots. So now it's the fourth and the fifth dot, and then the sixth and the seventh dot, and you continue on. This is what it should look like at the very end. Now moving on to the third row, you're going to take the first and the second dot just like you did with the first row, and you're going to stitch these together. So essentially the odd number rows you start on the first dot, the even rows you start on the second dot. You skip a dot only on the even rows. Now you're going to continue the same exact process that you've been doing all the way to the end of the row. From each row onward now, you should see a diagonal stitch when you're sewing. That's the way you know that you're doing this correctly. And this is how it should look like. So this is one complete set of honeycomb smocking. Obviously, if you want to do more rows, it's going to bring the look together more. This is the basics of how to manipulate on a sewing machine. And Obviously, if you're sewing it with a same stitch color, it's going to look a lot neater and nicer as well. I did this with a black stitching so that it is easier for you guys to see what I'm doing. So yeah, if you guys like this video and want to see more techniques, or if there's other videos you guys want to see, please let me know. And if you guys have any questions too, please leave them down in the comments below. I'd be more than happy to help. So yeah, if you like this video, please like, subscribe, and comment. And thank you so much for watching.